Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide, a reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that before Alexander Hamilton became one of America's most influential founding fathers, he was a homeless orphan in the West Indies? Learn how his community raised money to secure him a scholarship to attend King's College in America, leading him to play a key role in defending and ratifying the U.S. Constitution, as he authored 50 of the 85 Federalist Papers.
Alexander Hamilton. You know, when most people hear that name, they probably think of the musical or maybe the face on the $10 bill.
Sure.
But when you really get into his story, into his actual history, you find this figure who just completely redefined what it meant to lead a revolution, but with his mind, with his intellect.
Absolutely. His whole life was this battle between the power of his pen, this relentless ambition he had.
And then at the end, this tragic loyalty to a really old-fashioned code of honor.
And that's the central tension, isn't it? The radical modernizer who dies for an ancient code. It's fascinating.
So for you, our listener, this deep dive is all about charting that improbable arc. We're going to distill the most critical moments, the key policies, to really give you an understanding of the man who built the financial and intellectual backbone of the American government.
And we're going to frame this whole conversation around really just one question.
Yeah.
How did a guy with such a difficult, such an uncertain start in life achieve this profound, lasting influence on American politics and finance?
It really does read like a novel.
It does. A novel that starts thousands of miles away from the colonies he would one day help to create.
Okay, let's start right there. The improbable rise. Hamilton was born on Nevis, an island in the British West Indies, and immediately there's a mystery.
Right. Even his birth year is up for debate. We think it's either 1755 or 1757, but the records are just murky.
And his childhood was just brutal.
Oh, unbelievably challenging. His mother dies when he's still young. His father just abandons the family. So he's facing poverty, instability. I mean, this is not the background of a future statesman. He has no name, no money, no safety net at all.
But even with all that chaos, he had this incredible intellectual spark. And this is the moment, the real turning point that changes his entire life. It's 1772.
A massive hurricane hits the island. Just devastating. And Hamilton, who's still just a teenager, he writes a letter describing it all.
And it wasn't just, the wind was strong.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It was this incredibly eloquent, vivid, almost poetic piece of writing. It gets published, and the local leaders, they read this and they're just blown away. They realize this kid is something special.
So you're saying a single letter about a storm was basically his ticket to America?
That's exactly it. That letter convinces the community to literally pool their money to send him to the American colonies for a proper education.
Wow.
So he gets to New York in late 1772, and the timing, as you can imagine, is just perfect. The colonies are just about to explode.
And before he even gets to college, he's working as an accounting clerk, right? Learning about international trade.
Yes, and that's so key. This isn't just a job to him. It's like a masterclass in global finance, trade, debt, all the things he'll later use to build the U.S. economy from scratch.
His boss, Hugh Knox, sees his potential, and by 1773, he's enrolled at King's College in New York. I mean, the speed of that rise is just incredible.
In 1 year, he uses his writing to escape poverty, get a real-world financial education, and land in a top university right as the revolution is starting.
It's amazing. And, well, that college career doesn't last very long, because Hamilton is almost immediately pulled into the political action. By 1774, he's already writing his first major piece defending the patriot cause.
The pen is already his main weapon.
Right. And it's not just writing. He transitions from, a student activist to a soldier almost overnight.
He really does. By 1775, he joins the New York Provincial Artillery. And he's not in the back somewhere. He's fighting in these huge early battles. Long Island, White Plains, Trenton.
He must have been good at it because by 1777, he's a lieutenant colonel. And this is where he forges the most important relationship of his entire life.
With George Washington.
He becomes his most trusted advisor.
Advisor or aide doesn't even really do it justice. For 5 years, Hamilton is basically Washington's brain. He's his voice. He's writing the general's most important letters. He's drafting these incredibly detailed reports on how to fix the Continental Army's disastrous supply lines.
So he's not just taking dictation. He's applying his own genius to help run the war.
Exactly. It's a partnership built on pure intellectual respect. And it lasts for decades. I mean, years later, Hamilton helps Washington write his famous farewell address.
And during the war, he also makes a huge move socially.
A huge move. On December 14, 1780, he marries Elizabeth Schuyler. And the Schuylers are, one of the most powerful and wealthy families in New York. This marriage gives him the social standing he never had.
Okay, so the war ends. He's used his mind to help run an army, married into the elite. What's next? He immediately pivots to the law.
He becomes an attorney in 1782, but he sees that the real fight isn't over. The fight for the nation is now a battle of ideas, specifically about how much power the central government should have.
Because the Articles of Confederation were a mess.
A complete disaster. The states were basically acting like 13 separate little countries. The national government was broke and powerless. Hamilton sees the whole project just sliding into chaos.
So he starts maneuvering. In 1786, he's the one who introduces the resolution that leads to the Constitutional Convention the next year. He's a driving force behind it.
Absolutely. And once the Constitution is drafted, this new, much stronger federal system, it faces a ton of opposition from the anti-federalists.
Which leads to maybe the greatest PR campaign in history, the Federalist Papers.
Exactly. Hamilton gets James Madison and John Jay, and together they start writing these 85 essays to defend the new Constitution. And they do it all under one anonymous name.
Publius.
Publius. The idea was, let's have people debate the ideas themselves, not get distracted by who we are. It was a brilliant move.
And Hamilton's output was just unreal. He wrote 50 of the 85 essays himself. What was he actually arguing for in those papers?
Well, his main thing was the need for energy and power in government. So take Federalist number 70. He makes this powerful case for a single, strong executive, one president, who can act decisively.
Which was a scary idea back then.
Terrifying to some. They thought it sounded too much like a king. But Hamilton argued that a weak executive is actually a more dangerous thing for a country's safety.
So he's choosing efficiency over fear.
Exactly. And then in Federalist number 78, he basically invents the idea of judicial review. He argues the Supreme Court is the least dangerous branch, but that it's essential for protecting the Constitution.
The legacy of that is just enormous. The Constitution gets ratified in 1789, in large part because of this incredibly thorough defense.
And today, scholars, Supreme Court justices, they still go back to those essays to understand what the framers were thinking. It's his masterpiece.
So the Constitution is law, Washington becomes president, and of course he picks Hamilton to be the first Secretary of the Treasury.
Of course.
And now the architect has to become the builder. And he's facing a massive problem. The country is broke, drowning in debt from the Revolution.
And this is where you see his political genius really shine. His goal isn't just to pay the debt, it's to use the debt to make the country strong.
Okay, so what was the plan?
It had three main parts. First, the federal government had to promise to pay all its debts at full value, no discounts.
Okay, that makes sense.
The second part, though, that was the political bombshell. He proposed that the federal government should assume or take on all the debts the individual states still had from the war.
Wait, why was that such a firestorm? Sounds helpful.
Well, because some states, especially in the South like Virginia, had already paid off most of their debt. So they saw it as the federal government taxing them to bail out other states, like Massachusetts, that were still deeply in debt.
Ah, so it was a huge power grab for the federal government.
A brilliant and divisive one. It tied the wealthy people who held that debt directly to the success of the new national government. But people like Thomas Jefferson and James Madison hated it.
So how did he get it through?
He made a deal, the famous Compromise of 1790. Basically, Hamilton told Jefferson and Madison he'd support moving the nation's capital to a site on the Potomac River, a huge win for the South, if they delivered the votes for his debt plan.
So the location of Washington, D.C. is because of a debt deal.
Literally. It's a direct result of that negotiation.
Amazing. What was the third part of his plan?
The final piece was creating the first bank of the United States. And again, huge controversy. Jefferson said, look, the Constitution doesn't say anything about Congress creating a bank.
This sounds like the very first fight over how to read the Constitution.
It was. And Hamilton's response was to create the doctrine of implied powers. He argued that, sure, the Constitution doesn't say bank, but it gives Congress the power to do what is necessary and proper to manage the economy. And a bank, he said, was necessary and proper.
And what was the result of all this? What's the so what?
The so what is that it worked. It stabilized the nation's finances almost overnight. It proved to all the skeptical countries in Europe that the United States was a credible, financially sound nation that you could invest in. It put the country on the map,
That's why he's on the $10 bill, the guy who organized the nation's entire financial system.
which just makes the way he died all the more tragic, doesn't it? He builds this incredible system based on the rule of law.
And then dies because of a personal code of honor. So let's get to that final confrontation. He has this long, bitter political rivalry with Aaron Burr in New York.
It had been simmering for decades. Burr was ambitious, and Hamilton just fundamentally did not trust him. He saw him as dangerous.
And it all comes to a head after Hamilton campaigns against Burr, and Burr challenges him to a duel for refusing to take back a specific quote.
And the quote was brutal. Hamilton basically said, "Mr. Burr loves nothing but himself and will be content with nothing short of permanent power in his own hands." He's essentially calling him a would-be dictator.
In that time, that's a direct attack on a man's honor.
A direct attack, and one that, in their world, demanded a response.
But still, why would the man who built the entire legal and financial system of the country agree to this? It seems like such a contradiction.
He hated dueling. His own son had died in one. But his letters show he felt trapped. He believed that if he refused, his reputation, his honor would be destroyed. And if that happened, his ability to be a public leader would be over.
So it was a calculation, a political calculation over a personal one. He saw it as his only option to remain a man of honor and stay relevant.
And so the duel happens. July 11th, 1804, Weehawken, New Jersey.
The accounts say they both presented their pistols and fired. Burr's shot hit its mark. Hamilton fell almost instantly.
He died the next day. He left his wife, Eliza, and 7 children in enormous debt. The man who fixed the nation's finances couldn't even secure his own families. It's just a profound tragedy.
It is. But his contributions, they're undeniable. His ideas, his essays, the financial system he built, they are still at the very core of American political thought. He gave structure to a chaotic new nation.
So now, after this deep dive, you have a real sense of those major turning points. You've seen how this brilliant, ambitious kid from the Caribbean channeled all that energy into creating the stable, centralized nation he believed was essential for survival. A system of laws and checks and balances designed specifically to prevent the kind of chaos that, in the end, killed him.
And that's the final contradiction, isn't it? The whole system he built was meant to move America beyond personal feuds and codes of honor. Yet he died a victim of that very code.
It's a powerful irony.
So it leaves you with a final thought to consider. When our leaders build these huge systems for the public good, how do their own personal codes, their own private senses of honor or duty conflict with, or maybe even reinforce the very structures they create? It's a tension that's still very much with us today. Thank you for joining us for this day in his story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in his story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.